right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the June Canyon Country Advisory Committee meeting. It's always nice to remember that this facility is provided by the Moose Lodge. It's provided as a public service at no cost to us, and we greatly appreciate it. Inside, the lodge has a kitchen, a stage, a bar area, an activities room, and it's available to Moose members and guests. So typically on Wednesday night, they cook pizza here, and it's really good. It's really good homemade pizza, so if you'd like to show up a little early and have dinner at the same time, well, that would be a great thing to do. Restrooms are to my left, to your right. Through the door, turn right, and you'll see them in front of you. Tonight, the meeting agenda will start off, as usual, with our flag salute, then announcements, minutes of the last meeting. Then Sergeant Harris and Deputy Jackson will provide a presentation on the Sheriff's 8-Zone Crime Prevention Program. And Andy Bogman will provide a presentation about advances at Henry Mayo and explain all about the mock-up that we have on stage here. Then K-HITS and their disaster prevention program by Carl Goldman. Also, we need to do a little bit of CCAC business and ratify our new bylaws. Rick Drew will present those. Then our version of public participation, a July 2011 meeting preview, and then the meeting will adjourn. Now, typically what we've been doing is talking about a hero, an American hero. And this month especially, this past month with Memorial Day gone by, D-Day, the annual D-Day celebrations. So I decided maybe this time we should do something a little bit different and talk about a lady that was very instrumental in keeping our country safe. And so tonight I'd like to talk about Colonel Ruby Bradley, a survivor of 2 wars, a prison camp, and near starvation, and one of the most decorated women in U.S. military history. She was laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery nearly 40 years after retiring from the Army at the age of 94. Colonel Bradley's record included 34 medals and citations of bravery, including 2 Legions of Merit medals, 2 Bronze Stars, 2 presidential emblems, the World War II Victory Medal, and the UN Service Medal. She was also the recipient of the Florence Nightingale Medal, the Red Cross's highest international honor. Ruby entered the Army Nurse Corps as a surgical nurse in 1934. When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor in 1941, Colonel Bradley was 34 and serving at Camp John Hay in the Philippines. 3 weeks later, she was captured, and in 1943 was moved to the Santo Tomas internment camp in Manila by the Japanese. It was there that she and several other imprisoned nurses earned the title Angels in Fatigues from fellow captives. For the next several months, she provided medical help to the prisoners and sought to feed starving children by shoving food into her pockets whenever she could, often going hungry herself. The weight she shed made room in her uniform for smuggling surgical equipment into the prisoner war camp, and she used that equipment to assist in 230 operations and deliver 13 children. On February the 3rd, 1945, U.S. troops stormed the gates of the Japanese camp and liberated Colonel Bradley and her fellow prisoners, ending her 3 years of captivity. At 80 pounds, Colonel Bradley returned home to West Virginia and waited 5 years before returning to the battlefield during the Korean War. Colonel Bradley served as a frontline Army nurse in evacuation hospitals in Korea. It was there she refused to leave until she had loaded the sick and wounded into a plane while surrounded by 100,000 Chinese soldiers. She escaped just in time as her ambulance exploded behind her. "You got to get out in a hurry when you have someone behind you with a gun," Colonel Bradley said once in a TV interview. After 3 decades of military service, Colonel Bradley retired from the Army in 1963. And with that, and the remembrance of all our brave men and women around the world, keeping us safe and keeping us free, Mr. Natoli, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Would you all stand and join me, please? Those in uniform, remember right hand to you others, right hand over your heart, and say with me, I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Just for some announcements and some City Council highlights from last night's City Council meeting. Some of the things I think we'd be very interested in is Frank asked to put withdrawing annexation requests from areas of the west of the 5, would be Stevenson Ranch and Castaic, on the council agenda. So they're going to be discussing that, and it looks like a change in policy as far as Santa Clarita and annexing Castaic on the west side. Agenda item 11 referred to policies relating to animals, and at a last minute a change was made allowing 4 dogs per household as currently is the law, and it was passed. One Valley, One Vision had its public hearing, and it also was passed by the council. I did ask them a little question of whether they had read the 600-page document and the 6,000-page EIR, but somehow no one chose to answer. Agenda item 18 was the concept plan or guidelines for the southern and west portions of the North Newhall areas. We did attend the last budget meeting, and the budget was adopted. I got to tell you that we followed it all the way through, from February to June. I can tell you also that it was all smoke and mirrors. None of the work gets done at any of these meetings. And so next year what we need to do is get involved behind the scenes, because that's where all the decisions seem to be made. And we'll be talking about that at some time in the future. The Public Safety Subcommittee that we asked you to support, the council originally agreed to discuss it, and it was agendized and approved at the May 24th, 2011 City Council meeting. It has not yet been posted on the city website, public meeting notices, so we don't know exactly when it's going to meet. But I'll... Excuse me?
Next Thursday is the first meeting.
Next Thursday, okay. So we would expect then it would be noticed at the beginning of the week. It has to be noticed 72 hours before the meeting. So if you're interested, be there, because I can't see anything more productive than providing a venue where we can all share some ideas. As far as the enterprise zone, on July 1st, 2011, there was a notice that they would be increasing their fees for any company that is asking for an application for tax credit. There was a discussion at the council meeting also that because of changes in the law, the enterprise zone is not providing the benefit to companies that they once realized, but it always goes to show that there's never a fee increase that the city seems to miss. There's also a monthly block party now starting in downtown Newhall. You'll see it beginning on June 16th. They want to have a little bit of nightlife, a little bit of bands will be down there, some food trucks. And so if you're interested, show up there on June 16th that's tomorrow, from 7 to 11 p.m. Also, I was given a flyer just before we started and asked if I would put in a little plug for the second annual Old Town Newhall Car Show, which is on June 26th, 1975 and older street rods and classic cars and trucks, 50-50 drawing, great food from our local restaurants and many gourmet food trucks. Car entrance fee is $10 per car. So here again, this is probably going to be a very, very fun and nice car show. Now, I was also praised that on June the 16th, tomorrow night, at El Chaparral Restaurant, there's going to be a question and answer session with some of our local doctors. It'll take place at 6:30 p.m., socializing, and then 7 p.m. for dinner. Todd and Minerva Williams is supposed to be here this evening, and at the end, in public participation, they'll talk more about it. The 4th of July parade, everybody's been asking me about the 4th. Unfortunately, for the last 2 weeks, I've been very preoccupied with a family medical emergency, so you haven't heard too much about it from me. We did put in our application. We will have a float. I do have a 20-ton stake bed truck. I'm sorry, a 20-foot. Not quite as heavy, a 20-foot stake bed truck that has been that we will be able to use. So far we've had only a couple of people sign up on our 4th of July list, but sign up. We'll keep you informed. We're going to have a group meeting on the 29th, and we can all get together, decorate the float, and ride in the parade. Some of the ideas, because this is the theme of the parade is women's suffrage, is that we could have the ladies there with signs asking about the right to vote or appreciating the right to vote in the truck, with some of the men walking on the side handing out flyers to the crowd. So if you're interested, sign up on the sheet, and also we'll keep you informed, and I'm sure we're going to have a really good time. In statistics, last month we had 53 people here, so we're looking at how our attendance is jumping, and it looked like that was a presentation that people were very interested in. Also, we're looking at our video statistics. Now that we're putting these videos online, we're keeping statistics each month. The blue line represents what I believe is the independent views of the videos during the month after they were posted. The red line shows you the total number of views, because even after that month, people tend to go and look at those videos. So you can see that the first month's worth of videos grew a little bit last month, and it grew even more this month. This month, we estimate the independent views of 39 people. So you add that to 53, and we reached 92 people at that meeting, and I think that was a good number. But we'll keep the statistic coming and show you how we're doing with our videos. Remember that videos is probably going to be one of our biggest ways of getting our message out, so we'd appreciate it very much if you tell your neighbors and all your friends to go to CanyonCountryAdvisor.com and look up those links. And the links to every one of the videos are on that site. Minutes of the last meeting was that meeting was called to order. We read the agenda. We had our tribute to Mike Monsoor. Flag salute was led by Tony Natoli. Announcements were provided. And the minutes of the March meeting were read, and corrections applied and approved. Stephanie English provided us information about the LA County Fire Department services, while Doug LeCount and firefighter Brian Clayton gave a presentation about their search and rescue activities in Japan. The Canyon Country Advisory Committee had named both of these individuals, both Doug LeCount and Brian Clayton, as Santa Clarita Hometown Heroes in recognition of their efforts after the March 11th earthquake and tsunami, and we presented them with our Santa Clarita Hometown Hero Awards. Next, Dr. Dorio presented a briefing on what's happening with Henry Mayo. His talk centered around issues he believes would affect or could affect patient care. The CCAC bylaw ratification was postponed due to the June meeting lack of sufficient time, because they kick us out of here and we don't get to stay here till 2 in the morning like city council folks do. In public participation, Berta Gonzalez indicated that, again, asked that the CCAC minutes be emailed out before each meeting, and suggested that state redistricting be placed on the CCAC agenda. Now, I want to add a little bit of editorial comments here. Because of, as I told you, I had a family medical emergency, I was unable to attend our board meeting, so I had to make a decision on this on my own. And since I had noticed that all of the discussions about redistricting revolved around partisan politics and who was going to benefit and who was not going to benefit, I felt that that was not an appropriate subject for this meeting, because we indicate we do not discuss partisan politics, and so we didn't add it to the agenda. Next meeting preview, Carl Goldman was going to be here, and he is, and the Sheriff's Department was going to be here, and they are, and our meeting was adjourned. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Then the minutes stand approved. Yes, sir.
For the first time, you spelled it correctly.
Let's not be picky.
I just wanted to note that.
Okay. Then the minutes stand approved as read. Next month, Glo Donnelly for the Whitaker-Burmite Citizen Advisory Group is going to be here. This issue is going to probably get more important to everybody. It has to do with the chloride cleanup, and if you've been reading the paper, I guess we've had some additional wells that have been determined to be contaminated. Glo spoke last night at the council meeting asking for One Valley, One Vision to be reconsidered some more for some changes because of that, and of course they did not comply with that request. So I think we'll be really interested to hear from Glo and learn more about Whitaker-Burmite. Next, I've spoken to Jim Brazell. If you remember, Jim Brazell was supposed to be at our meeting. Last month? And he unfortunately went in the hospital. There's just been too much of this hospital stuff, I tell you. Are you sure it's not something that's catching?
You see how important we are?
Oh, I know how important you guys are now. Anyway, I saw Jim. Jim is up and around. He's really doing well. He's happy, healthy. I guess whatever it was something that could be easily taken care of. So he will be visiting us next month to talk about the an update on Pardee's Golden Valley Ranch project. And I think that's really great. And so we have invited the Santa Clarita Valley Economic Development Corporation. If any of you have been following the local blogs, you know there was an issue about that on iHeart SCV. And a representative of the Development Corporation said, hey, how come you didn't ask us and how come you didn't talk to us? So we've asked. And they haven't answered. So we'll make some phone calls. I've talked to some other people that are involved in there, and they said, well, you really need to start at the top, and that's exactly where I intend to go. So we'll see if we can get them here because, you know, so far, all of our city residents, have donated $400,000 to this group. $200,000 last year and $200,000 this year through our city government. So it'd really be interesting to know what they're doing for us and how that money is being effectively used. So we'll continue to try to get them there. Anyway, that's what we had for this evening, and I really would like to thank all of you for coming and visiting us and participating in the June Canyon Country Advisory Committee meeting. Thank you.